Welcome to another episode of the Team Elmers Update, where we take you past the orange barrels and onto the job site. For this episode, we're taking you on a trip to the beautiful Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore in Leelanau County, where Team Elmers is hard at work completing Phase 3 of the Heritage Trail, a shared-use path, which when all 6 phases are complete, will stretch 27 miles from the northern end of the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore down to Manning Road, located south of Empire. Team Elmers first broke ground on the Heritage Trail back in 2012 with the initial 4-mile segment from Glen Arbor to the Dune Climb, and then again in 2014 for Phase 2, adding another 5.5 miles from the Dune Climb to Empire. Phase 3 is now nearly complete, which will provide a little over 3 miles of additional trail from Glen Arbor to Port Oneida Road.
Phase 3 is 3.38 miles long, with about 2/3 of that paved, and the last third of it is a special aggregate mixture. The project includes clearing through the park, an asphalt shared use path, as well as aggregate shared use section of path, timber boardwalk, helical piers. The project is actually run through MDOT. We work with them on a day-to-day basis. They do the inspections and basically making sure we're building it to standard. Eventually, we'll hand it over to the National Park, and the Friends of the Sleeping Bear Dunes will actually maintain the trail after we are done with it.
In an attempt to leave as little environmental impact on the project area as possible, certain precautions were taken with the scheduling of clearing the pathway for the trail.
Phase 3 of the project started actually last fall. The reason they started in the fall is because there's a long-eared, or the Indiana bat, they're thinking it's going to become an endangered species here before too long, so they actually want to set clearing limits so when the bats are hibernating and in caves is when you're allowed to clear. Started clearing, which involves basically very carefully controlling how the tree falls. Typically it's a 10-foot trail plus an extra 5 feet on each side, so it's a 20-foot section we have to work in. Trying to put down a tree and control that in 20 feet wide when the tree is 60, 80 feet tall is extremely difficult, especially when you get on a side slope and the tree wants to lean downhill.
One portion of the newly added trail included passing over a 600-foot wetland area. Protecting this valuable ecosystem required a different approach than the rest of the constructed pathway.
Another part of the trail is a 600-foot boardwalk. What that involves is coming in, drilling helical piers, which are a type of deep foundation. What they typically are used for is anytime there's poor soils or an area that's really wet. It's actually in a wetlands, so helps reduce the impact on the wetland, as well as kind of gets the boardwalk through there and supports it. It works kind of like a giant corkscrew at the end. You eventually drill down until you meet a solid surface. You drive it into that solid surface so that it can support the boardwalk on top of it. The height of the helicals was anywhere from 30 feet to 60 feet, and there's basically 3 at each pier. After you build the helical piers, you build the boardwalk, so you lay out your wood on top of that. You start with your cross beams, and then lay out your baseboard, and then eventually build your railings.
Good Morning America viewers named the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore as the most beautiful place in America. The National Park Service is vigilant on minimizing the impact any new construction may have within its borders, focusing on controlling invasive species and project limits.
You can't haul in any topsoil. They don't want any sort of non-native weed seed or anything else that you might bring in with set of topsoil. You got to use all the stuff that's on site. Hardest part about it is really the tight working space. You're really limited, so if you want to get a truck in, you're backing it up for sometimes a couple thousand feet. They really limit the area you can work in, and they want to keep the disturbance to as small of an area as possible. On top of that, they actually have you remove what they call the duff, the sticks, the leaves, all the stuff that typically litters the forest floor. They'll actually have us save that and then bring it back in from the sides in order to try and give it a natural appearance. The goal really with the design and the construction is to make it look like it's been there forever. You look through and you go through on a fall day after the leaves have all fallen, it looks like it's been there for 100 years. It's a really cool process. And it all stems from how they design it and what they limit you to be able to do. So everything's a tight package. You try and do it with small equipment and things with a small footprint. You really try and leave it looking as natural as you possibly can.
Although there are many challenges presented to crews throughout a project such as this, it does have its perks, the natural wildlife being one of many.
There has been bear tracks in our gravel grade and sand grade several times. Seen a couple of tracks, but no actual sightings yet. Of course, every day there's turkeys and deer and all sorts of good stuff that you see in the national park every day. The best part about it is there's no traffic. You're really kind of out there all by yourself. You know, it's the most beautiful place in America. So it's a great place to work, and it's a great opportunity to be able to work in the national parks.
Currently, the project is scheduled to be completed by May 29th. However, crews are doing their best to have the trail open as soon as possible. Thank you for tuning into this Team Elmers update. Remember to plan ahead. Thank you for your patience, and stay safe out there. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. And check out teamelmers.com for more project information.